Beautiful. Look at that. Good morning.
It is now 8:03. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today is June the 9th, 2020, and we're about to start this public hearing. I'm going to call this a public hearing to order. Item B, adopt of amendment to the district's current local innovation plan with respect to the exemption of the Texas Education Code 22.004 pursuant to the Texas Education Code 12A.005 to provide alternative group health coverage to employees.
Good morning, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent of Schools, Ms. Garza. Today's public hearing is the second part to the resolution which was passed. I'm not too sure on the date that it was passed, but it was passed by the Board of Trustees. And what this is an alternate health insurance for our employees of the district. We are under TRS, and well, I shouldn't say all employees, but employees who purchased insurance are with TRS. For example, I have the family plan with TRS. What this does, this offers an alternate insurance plan for district employees. So you create a market within the district. So it is a great situation. It's a situation where now there's competitive prices, so an employee can make a decision on what's best for him or her family. So today is a second part to this process. The first part was passing the resolution, which is already passed. The next part is to have a public hearing, which the community members can come forward and express any concerns that they may have. After today, the third step is to have a District of Innovation Plan committee get together and revise, look at the details moving forward. At that point, we'll have to go to, our legal team will get us to the fourth step, which will be probably come back to the board and go out for RFPs or RFQs for health insurance. So today, again, is just a public hearing for the second step on the resolution that was approved to create a second option for our district employees for health insurance.
Thank you, Mr. Salinas. Public comments?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So just for clarification, so because now that we have this whole District of Innovation issue, this is what has afforded us the ability to offer a less expensive option than the TRS plan, correct?
Yes. Good morning, Dr. B. That is correct, ma'am. That is correct, yes.
Can you give me an idea, because I know that in order for us to accomplish this, we're on a pretty tight schedule, correct? Like we need to really get this started.
Right. After today, with this public hearing, we'll go to the district level where we'll have a committee meeting. Superintendent has already directed us to have that tomorrow, the latest, so we will schedule that meeting. We've already reached out to some administrators on that committee. We call it the District of Innovation Committee. Same committee that created the start time. That's when we came to the board to become a District of Innovation and start earlier like other districts do. So we are a District of Innovation. Now we can bring this to the committee. At that point, once that goes through, I believe we start with the RFP, RFQ process. And I believe the fork in the road comes when we have to decide whether we are self-funded or we'll shop the market, which if I'm not jumping the gun here, I hope I'm not, but I believe the district has decided to do some consulting and figure out a market versus self-funded.
I need to
So
add
this is
also.
a very tight schedule. Right?
Yes,
To
ma'am.
make sure we get this done by time for enrollment.
That is correct, which is in August. You're right.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Dr. B, I also wanted to add that we need a post on our webpage for 30 days and send to the Texas Commissioner a copy of our posting so that we can start the process of seeking an RFP. And like we always do in August is the time for registration. So we want to be able to have all this in place. And yes, timing is crucial, so we need to continue with the process to be able to be ready by the mid-August when registration starts.
Thank you very much, Ms. I can't see you, but thank you.
Any more questions, comments? Okay, public hearing is adjourned. It is 8:11. Good morning, Dr. B. Are you there? Oh.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. It is now 8:30. Today is Tuesday, June the 9th, 2020, and we're at the RGCCISD Phase Center. I'm going to call this meeting to order. I'm going to do roll call. Mr. Ramirez, Mr. Castillo, Mr. Villarreal, Mrs. Lopez,
I'm here.
Dr. B,
I'm here.
and Eleazar Velasquez, myself, here also. Unfortunately, we don't have a quorum to continue with this board meeting. And before we leave, I just want to express a few words. First of all, I just want to give thanks to Dr. B. I know you're out of town. Thank you for joining us via Zoom. Thank you for the all the attentions you provide to us. Mrs. Lopez, I know that you haven't been well this past weeks, and I can imagine the sacrifice that you go through to be here via Zoom. Thank you, ladies, very much for your dedication. And I just want to say to the community that this is a regular scheduled board meeting. We've been having these meetings for the past 3-4 months at 8 a.m. Nobody has complained to me. And the first complaint came to Ms. Garza Sunday evening. Is that correct, Ms. Garza?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So she notified me that several board members had wanted to cancel the board meeting, but I see that we have very important items on the agenda. One of them is the tax rate. The public hearing, I mean, that's also a plus for all of the employees. Now you're going to have options with your health insurance, cheaper health insurance. So I didn't think that was a reason not to have this board meeting. That's why I decided to continue with this board meeting. Ms. Garza, can you explain to the public about the tax rate?
The tax rate was presented so that we could approve the posting of the tax rate that is required before having a public hearing, and we need to post for 10 days. Now that we changed our fiscal year to the end of June, and our new school year starts July 1st, we need to have a budget approved before the end of the month. And so this was a requirement that needed to take place before we have a public hearing on our budget, before we even present the budget, which was going to be in our next board meeting. So it was important to have it done because of the time issue.
And what happens if we don't pass the tax rate?
Well, if we don't pass it, that means that we cannot present a board a recommended budget. I'll have Ms. Diana Robles explain that.
Good morning, everyone. The tax rate is very important. Nonetheless, we can always approve the budget before the tax rate. This year, TEA will be setting the tax rate for all the districts. So right now, we were just seeking for approval of the notice that will be published tomorrow. We are publishing the highest rate that we could get. So it is very important. Now, hopefully, we will be able to have that budget public hearing in 2 weeks. If not, we will not be able to have a budget approved before the end of June. That means that the district would have to cease operations and we would not be able to make any kind of expenditures or disbursements whatsoever.
Thank you, Diana.
Thank you.
Wait, excuse me, I'm sorry, so if we don't get this done and we're behind because of this meeting, you're saying that the district has to cease operations, so this affects staff salaries, all of our individuals who work for us, their salaries as well, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. However, the notice will be published tomorrow. The deadline was yesterday, and we could not afford to miss the deadline in order so that we can have that public hearing within 10 days of that notice. So yes, we would have to cease operations if we don't have a budget approved by the end of June.
Any more questions, Dr. B, Mrs. Lopez?
So what are we gonna have to do to get us back on track?
We would have to have that meeting on June 23rd, which was the date that was published, or which will be published tomorrow in the Town Crier.
The 23rd or before?
No, the 23rd.
Okay, the 25th.
Tomorrow, it will be published, so it has to be published for at least 10 days before we can have the hearing. If we have that hearing on the 23rd, we would have surpassed those 10 days. However, if no meeting or public hearing is held on the 23rd, we would have to publish again the notice for another scheduled date, and we would not be able to meet the 10 days that are required by the Texas Education Code.
Which means that we would still have to have another board meeting prior to that to post our tax rate? Or we can still post our tax rate?
I believe we can still post. The Texas Education Code does not mention that the school board of trustees has to approve the notice, because we are not adopting the tax rate. We are just letting the public know what the tax rate would look like.
Okay, thank you.
So we have to have another meeting.
Yes, we do have to have a public hearing for the budget in order to have the budget adopted.
And so there's no quorum on our next meeting, it's the same thing.
Yes,
Like,
we would have to publish the notice again, which will leave us with no time before the end of June to have the budget approved. And this is all because of the publishing of the newspaper. The Starr County Town Crier publishes on Wednesdays, so there's no way, I mean, the other would be to publish on the 24th. Remember, it's 10 days required by the Texas Education Code, so we would surpass the June 30th deadline.
Thank you, Ms. Robles. Anything else, Ms. Garza?
No, just that we do need all board members to come. And again, as I mentioned, it was late Sunday when I was advised that they were not able to attend because of the time, 8 o'clock in the morning. That had never been communicated to me before. And so we will make sure that our next board meeting, with your approval, Mr. Velazquez, I recommend that we do have it in the evening to assure that everybody does join.
I agree. Dr. B, Mrs. Lopez, anything else?
No, thank you.
So upsetting.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. B. Thank you, Mrs. Lopez.
Thank you, Mr. Velazquez.
Thank you, everyone who attended today. Thank you.
Bye.